finance, this when it comes to loans, you should have loans or financing. And maybe right now your study sheet doesn't have this, then you say loans, financing, page 27. Okay? On your study sheet, just write that down. It's like go to page 27 whenever I have a chance and write those things down. Okay? When it comes to the loan and I say price, I do mean that this price has already all taxes in it, right? So you need to assume that you either are told this is it after tax, or you have to do some kind of calculation to figure out the taxes. Options, parts, anything, safety, anything is already in here. And then you go to the bank and say, hey, I want to get a loan. Well, they'll say, do you have anything paid, anything saved up? And if you say yes, then they'll be like, well, let's put that as a down payment. And right, if you go price minus down, that is the loan. So this already has taxes in it, okay? I don't know if I want to make this too messy, but includes tax, okay? So when I talk about that price, it includes taxes. Very small, I know. And the table rate over 1,000, this is 1,000, not 100. Make sure you check right now. A lot of hundreds happen from time to time. And this is not the interest rate. This is not the interest rate. Some students are tempted because they don't see a table. Oh, it's interest rate. No, it's going to say something dollar per $1,000 of loan if there is no table, okay? Total paid to the bank. This is how much you pay the bank in terms of payments. And then the total interest or the finance charge, have both on your study sheet, because the province may just use finance charge. They've told us that, okay? So they don't joke around about these things. The memo they send us, that's usually what's going to happen on the exam. So have both of them there. And I basically take everything I've paid the bank and I subtract the loan. This is what they gave you to buy your car. This is how much you have paid them over the years. And that difference is what the interest, that's how much they profited from you borrowing money. That's literally how the banks make money. They take someone's savings and they give it to somebody else to borrow it, and they get interest back, and they give some to the person saving, but the rest they keep, right? So that's basically, they're the middle person, okay, in the whole money transaction. This one is very popular, interest paid on the first month. We're going to use this one a lot today. And that is when you take your loan, you go interest rate divided by 100 and divide that by 12. And once you know your interest paid on the first month, you can find the principal paid on the first month, which is the payment minus the interest, okay? Always think of it this way. Payment is always made up principal and interest. These two added up, okay? All right, and this one here, I haven't talked about it enough. I'm going to have to give you an example on this one. And I was thinking about it today as I was preparing. So the total cost to purchase in conceptually is the sticker plus tax minus down plus interest. Like that would be the total cost of purchase if you finance. Okay? So if you wanted to figure out the payment, then you take the total cost of purchase, like this big number here, and divide it by the number of months. And I will say this. Use if interest rate is not provided. That's when you need to resort to this. And I will give you an example yet when we use this one. If time allows, I'll do that today. Okay? This is on page 27 if you're following. All right. We're good? And it's on the video. So now we're going to skip a few pages. I asked you to do a few examples. I wanted you to go to 31 and make sure you have some things down here. And I asked you to copy that. But how do you reduce or lower the total interest paid? You increase down payment, right? You you decrease term or amortization. Okay. You make larger down payment. You find a lower interest rate. You can negotiate that and make additional payments. Oops, L, payments. So if you make extra payments, what I mean by that is, let's say your payment is $400 a month. Okay, you tell the bank, hey, make payment number 2, like actually set it up on my account, where you say I want to pay another $100 every month in addition to this. Okay, so that's the additional payment that I'm talking about. If you do this, you will pay it off faster, which will save you interest. And here's something for life, okay? Let's say you tell the bank, nah, I don't want to pay $400, I want to pay $500 a month. Let's set that up and then I'll sign the contract. Okay. If you do that, you're bound to the $500 a month. You have to pay the $500 a month. Sign the papers with $400 a month, and then just later on tell them, can I make an additional payment of $100? If you run out of money, you can just say, cancel this one. I don't want to make the extra payment because I don't. Like, I lost my job, or I need it for something else, right? So keep that in mind. Reducing your monthly payment, like if you want to just lower your monthly payment, you still increase your down. You wrote down something longer probably on, you can increase the term or the amortization, and you can decrease the interest rate. If you look at Friday's lesson, it has that on there, okay? Or the key at least has things on there. I'm just making it a little shorter so that at least you have something. Explaining would, if I ask you to explain or justify, you'd have to give me a little bit more there. All right. Let's go to page 36. I want to give you a little break from my voice before I move on. I need to switch it up or else students fall asleep on me here. So page 36, if you've already done it, you just sit back, relax, take a little nap, right? If you didn't do it, which I'm assuming is going to be quite a few of you, I want you to do question 4 on page 36. You need to watch out here. And A is first figuring out the cost, including taxes. You have to ask yourself, is this a new car? Is it used? Is it private dealer? What is this? Okay? Then you figure out the cost, including taxes. And then I flip it into a loan question. This question has happened just this last exam. They did in this order, so be ready for it, okay? If you need a table, it's on page 32. That's where the big table is. And you use the formulas from page 27 to answer the loan questions, all right? So what, 5-7 minutes? Try 36, and then I'll keep going with amortization tables. So I'll just show you the key here, and I'll go over it so you understand what's happening. So this is a private sale. Why is there UD here? Sorry. Is my key saying UD as well? It's supposed to be private, right? So you take the purchase price of the car, and you need to apply PST or RST to the higher of the two, right? The price of the car or book value. The book value wins So you got to add 7%, so that's 280. So you end up paying this much after tax. So that would be a mark right there. Remember, use private formula. Yikes. So this one doesn't have safety, no lien, no parts and labor. So all of that is out the window with that big long formula, right? The loan required, guess what? It's just that number again because there's no down payment. Then the monthly payment, I already figured out the loan. So I'm just going to use it, put it right there. And this, where did I get this from? I got this from page 32, where the table is, using the interest rate, which is 6.5% over 2 years, right? I match those two, and I get 44.56, and that is per $1,000 of loan. So this is how much the bank is going to charge you for every $1,000 you borrow. So you divide this, multiply it by that, and you get 177.35 is your monthly payment. All right, moving on. Total monthly payments. So the total monthly payments at the end of the 2 years, take your payment times 12 always, times 2 years in this case. So this is how much you will have paid them in 2 years. Interest, how much money in interest alone was paid. If it doesn't say like first month only or something like that, you're assuming it's the entire interest, all the interest. So I just take what I've paid the bank minus the loan, and you get 276.40. Okay. If you use the long formula where you figured out all of this again and then minus loan, that's fine. You'll get the same answer. But this is just a little review as to what we've been doing so far. Okay. And now amortization tables. Some of you are going to love them. Some of you are going to hate them. Right? If you hate them, try to hate them a little less, right? And just get it over with. And we have our study sheet, so let's start with that. You good? You good? Finish it, finish it. Yeah. All right. So that's another thing. If I go a little bit too fast, try to catch up, and you can always watch the video again, right? So here we go, page 37, amortization tables. This one is I call this like a full-blown example. I'm gonna ask you to, we're gonna skip a page or two and first do one that's most popular actually, a partially filled in table. So go to 39 and I want you to copy these numbers down. So at the top of this page we'll say partially filled in tables. Make sure you have that little heading there, because to be honest, those are way more popular than a full-blown example. So fill in these numbers, okay? Fill them in right now. I already did all the work for you, so you just have to like fill in what's already there, and then we'll do the rest. And you might have to have just a table on your study sheet, just the first line or two, to know what to do when these arrive, okay? What I want you to know is that this column right here, that is what we call the payment, okay? The interest, because think about it, an amortization table breaks down every month, right? Every month the payment stays the same, but it breaks down how much of that is interest, how much of that is actually principal. So this one right here is lowercase I, and this column right here is principal. Okay, and this is how much you owe them. This is how much you're owing them in any given month. Obviously that's going down, right? So what do you think if this is your payment? it's made up of, so you can actually go up here, you go equals, payment is always equal to interest plus the principal, always. Okay, so if you have this at the top of your, table, it's actually going to help you figure out these cells right here. So to find out the payment, to figure out the payment, what would we do with these two numbers? We would simply add them up, and that will give us our monthly payment. So let's go ahead and do that. 83.33 plus 1,004.05. It's hard to see, right? But it's 1,087.38. And if you want 100%, make sure every cell always has a dollar sign. If that's you, make sure you put a dollar sign everywhere. Okay, once you have the payment, it does not change, folks. Once you have the payment, it stays the same. So you can go ahead, maybe I'll use a different pen, and I'll just say, right, 1,087.38. You can feel free and just say, hey, once I have my payment, it stays the same. It stays the same. So I'll make a note down here. Stays the same. Okay? Does not change. Okay, so now that we've got the payment, it was like a ripple effect, right? How would I find out if month number 2 comes along, I owe a little bit less interest, right, because I owe them less. How would I figure out this cell right here? Subtract, right? I would go this minus that gives me this. So I will actually show my work here. This would be 1,087.38 minus 76.64. And honestly, if you just want to have the first two cells in here on your study sheet, then you're good to go. And that will give you 1,010. Let's see, 1,010.74. That's the number there. Okay. Next, I'm not going to do the last one here. I kind of forgot about this here. And I'm going to use a different color as well. This the bank takes in their pocket. So month number 1 comes along, you give this comes off your account. The bank takes this for their profit. This will bring down the unpaid balance, how much you owe them. I would strongly suggest you write down that you're subtracting that here. Okay? And so that is your new unpaid balance. So 12,500 minus 1,004.05. So now you owe a little less. And you round to 2 decimals every time. Okay? Month number 2 comes along. A little less interest is charged because you owe a little less. Okay, guys? That's why the interest has gone down. And now it's going to go down by 1,010. So you do that one more time. 1,010.74. Still have that number on my calculator, so I'm just going to go 1,010.74. There it is. 1,485.21. And the last one is probably the hardest one to do, because none of these are known to you. So you can't just take one subtractor from the payment to get the other. So what would you do here? Remember that this number, the principal, is what happens to a number from here to here. Right? So I'm going to subtract them. I'm going to show that work here. I'm going to subtract them and see what I get there. So I have that number, minus 9467.73. That is 1,017.48. That is the number that I'm going to put in here. I know you're going to have to get used to this a little. Okay. And once I have this, I can find the interest here. I can just go payment minus the principal, right, gives me the interest here. So I'm going to go a different color there as well. Payment minus the principal, 1,017.48 is going to give me this number. That's 69.90, right? Did I make a mistake? No? Okay. Okay. This morning was pretty bad. I made two mistakes this morning. On a Monday and Friday, you got to watch it. Okay. Okay, I'm going to try to, I think if you understand how this works, it's going to be easy to you could basically just add and subtract. That's really what you're doing when it's partially filled in. So you just need to understand that my unpaid balance is always affected by the principal. So I don't know if you want to just say, to go from here to here, every time you go minus P, right? To go from here to here, you always go minus P. So principal brings this down every single time. Interest has nothing to do with what's happening here. And that's why I was like, wait a minute, like if I subtract these two, right, I get that principal, I actually get it. You're kind of working backwards to get that, okay? And you just got to remember that these two add up to that. So maybe I'm talking too much. Maybe some of you are like, yeah, I get it. Just let me do one, right? Maybe I will right now. Just let you figure that out. So there's one right under this one. It's right underneath here. Looking at the example I just did up there, could you fill in, this would be 5 marks, let's say, because every cell would count towards a mark. Can you fill this in right now, knowing what you know? I will say this, okay? This is I'm going to try to give you a trick here. You can cover the unpaid balance and see if there's ever just one cell missing. All you need to do, right, if you know the payment and this, you just subtract these two, boom. Subtract these two, boom. So that's easy to fill in. This last column, you always need to start, right, with whatever is unpaid. You subtract the principal, you keep subtracting the principal, and do it one more time, okay? So principal is always bringing this one down. Give it a try. Remember, just attempt it. Let's see how it went. So, let me just get my key here. So here you would just go minus 401.83, so that should have been 28,348 and 17 cents. Right? We can already fill this one in, right? Subtract this one more time. So you get 27,943.99. Okay. We can't do the third just yet. We have to do a little bit of work with these three here. So to get the interest here, we just subtract. So I don't know if you want to show the work here. It doesn't hurt. One more time to do that. And that would be 165.36. Look at this. The interest should slowly decrease. Okay, every month you owe them a little less. So that's a pattern you should observe. So if this doesn't add up, let's say this would have been 130. It doesn't make sense. It should be between this and this. This one here, I'm just going to subtract these two to give me that. So you can go payment minus I if you just want to show what you've done. And that would be 406.53. And notice that the principal portion is going up every time. It's going up slowly because more of your payment is going towards paying off your loan as you pay off. Okay? And then this, you just subtract the principal you found here. We'll subtract it from the unpaid balance, and here it is, 27,537.46. Okay, you subtract it. So I would have my study sheet maybe with a line or two and a few letters here. And again, I would always say that the payment is equal to interest plus principal, right? That's always going to be there. So if you know the dynamic between the first three here, if you know payment and principal, subtract them to get this. If you know payment and interest, subtract them to get the principal. If you don't know your payment, then you need to add these two, right? Adding these two will give you your payment. So that's a bit of the dynamic there. Okay? So tomorrow I'll probably throw an AC at you with a partially filled in and with a fully, like an empty one that we need to fill in completely from scratch. So let's go back now to 37 and try that. I'm pretty sure a lot of you are going to have a good memory from grade 11. Those good old days. Blast from the past, okay? Okay, so here we go, 37. I'm going to try to hurry up. Amount of time, so amortization is the time required to pay off a loan or a mortgage, okay? So this comes back with home finance. What is an amortization table? It is the breakdown of a loan and of the payments themselves. Maybe I'll show you one of my loans. One of these days I'll just show you, hey, this what we're doing here is exactly what the bank is doing. Okay. Here we go. Jamal purchased a vehicle for $12,000. We're assuming that's taxes in. He had to borrow $10,000. What is this here? That is what we call the loan. So what happened from the 12 to the 10? Why did it go down? There's a $2,000 down payment. Okay, that's what's the assumption here. 4.25 interest over 3 years. Complete the amortization table below. Okay. So calculate the monthly payment. I'm glad you asked. Okay. Payment is what? The loan times the table rate over 1,000. I'll be nice now and give you the table rate. It is 29.69. I got this from page 32, in case you're wondering. I divide this and multiply it by 10,000. You already know how to do that. That is 296.90. That is your payment. You're going to sign a pretty thick contract when you get your loan, okay? And that payment will be clearly stated there. Once you have the payment, it never changes. You go ahead, and we're going to do this for the first 3 months. I've never seen it go past 3 months. But if it did, you would just continue these steps. Let's go ahead and figure this out. 96.90 to 96.90. So the payment never changes at all. Once you have that, boom, you got it in. You figured out what it was, you plug it in. And notice that the loan here is the original unpaid balance. Okay? If you want to make an arrow and just say this is the loan, you go for it. Remember, this is lowercase I, this is lowercase I, and this is P. Okay? And we know that lowercase I has this formula. It's the loan times the interest rate divided by 100, all of that divided by 12. I hope you can see that. So you can't just add and subtract like we did before. You actually have to calculate it from scratch. So let's do that here. What's our loan at the beginning? It's 10,000, correct? What's our interest rate divided by 100? It's 4.25, right? 4.25 divided by 100. Use the whole thing, 0.0425. If you like this kind of stuff, you probably should become an accountant or something like that. You like details and you just like to follow the cells, right? So let's figure it out. 10,000 times 0.0425, sorry, 0.0425 divided by 12. That doesn't seem right. I made a mistake. Hold on. That does not seem right. There we go. 3542, correct? If you round it to 2 decimals, that's going to be frustrating for some of you. If you round it incorrectly, it kind of affects everything else, but it's not going to cost you half a mark every time. It's just going to cost you half a mark once, if I notice that. So there we go. And now it kind of turns into the question we just did, the partially filled in. How do we find the principal? We just go payment minus I. Okay, in general, if you're working from left to right, that's how you want to do it. And that number is nice and big there. That's 261.48. And if you like highlighting, I'm just going to highlight this number and just show you I'm subtracting it there. So my unpaid balance goes from 10,000. It's going to go down by just a tiny little bit. And that's where loans are kind of depressing, right? Because it takes so long to pay something off. 261.48. So now your new loan, I call this the new loan now. Is that. So I'll take this and I just give it a green color. Right? This is going to bring this down. So if you'd like to have something on the side, you don't have a highlighter, just go minus P on the side. Right, I subtracted P to get that. One more. So now, folks, what's our loan now? It's this. So copy paste, instead of 10,000, we're going to rewrite this with the new 9738. So it's 9738.52. Interest rate stays the same. And the divided by 12 stays the same. That's 34.49. 34.49, and it makes sense. It's going down just a little bit. Perfect. And the nice thing about these, they're always going from left to right. You're never having to worry about going the other way. So I'm just going to say 296.90 minus 34.49. That's 262.41. And it makes sense that it's slightly higher month number 2. You subtract, right? You go minus P again. And I'll just give you that number, 94.7611. And I'm not going to highlight more because then you're going to be confused, right? But remember, you subtract P on the like the unpaid balance to get your new loan. Let's do one more month. So I'll take this new loan. You owe a little less. And you do that all over again. So it's 33.56. And then I'm going to go 296.90 minus 33.56. You do not have to show me that work inside each cell. Once you get the hang of it, you can just put in the numbers. Okay. And then one more time. And that's 92.1277. This is like your final. After 3 months, you will owe the bank 92.1277 under these circumstances. So we can answer the following: how much did you pay in total over 3 months? Right? That's just these 3 months here added up. 3 times 296.90, and that's 890.70. So in 3 months, you will have paid them this much. How much interest did you pay over the 3 months? What would you do to answer that one? Interest, interest, interest. So you add these 3 up, you get the answer for the 3 months. So I'm just I actually would suggest you write down the actual numbers so you know where in the world that came from. So you will have paid 103.47. Just over $100 is interest. How much went towards principal in the first 3 months? You've got 2 choices. Just add up the P's here, or you go everything you've paid them minus the interest, and that is the principal. So I'm going to go 890.70 minus 103.47, and that's 786.20. Oh, sorry, 786.23. If you like to just add up, if you like to add, just add up these 3 cells, and boom, you get your principal. So this is just zooming into 3 months, right? This is a what? A 3-year loan. How many of these rows would you have to do? 3 times 12? 36. Can you imagine that? So thank goodness for spreadsheets, right? Excel does that for us. And so that's that. What I'm going to ask you is, before you leave today, I'm going to just assign page 38 for you to do. I think 1 is not good enough. So I'm just going to say 38 and 40. So go to 38. So page 38 and 40. Okay? And it's okay to struggle a little bit. I'll give you partially filled in later. I'll just make stuff appear. Okay, so page 38 and 40, 39 we did together.